We are live. Yay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for part 2 of this very important topic of the Hollywood pedophile scandal as we watch the documentary An Open Secret, which we are watching on Vimeo. The link is in the description. If you prefer to watch the movie without our commentary, the link is right there. A couple people voiced some concerns in the last video that we made. So if you'd rather not deal with our annoying voices, you're certainly welcome to click that link. It's an important topic. Please do not let us annoying you deter you from educating yourself about this. I am JFQ, and I'm just your humble host today. And we have a great panel of visitors. Returning today from last week is across the pond, Mazzy Massacre. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey, what's up?
Good to have you back, sister.
Sorry?
It's good to have you back.
Thanks.
And also returning to us from last week from also across the pond from the Great Britain, Dawn Cardiff. What's up, sister?
Hey, handmaiden of the patriarchy for you tonight.
The patriarchy lives on here in the soul of the shitlords and the
On exhibit for everyone.
I didn't make that out. Sorry. No, you're recording on a potato, so it's difficult to hear.
My internalized misogyny is going to be on show tonight.
Well, the best part about women is we don't necessarily have to understand what they say. We just have to let them think we understood what they said. So
that's right.
Moving on, a newcomer to the streams this week. We have Harmony Nation, who we met from Be Social. Say hi to our crowd and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Harmony Nation. I am a liberal pisser offer at large. I enjoy wreaking havoc. I actually enjoy making liberals cry, especially. I'm at Harmony_Nation. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Gab AI with that handle. I'm also on Minds.com. You can't shut me up. So they have tried. Facebook, I got a different handle because, well, they did happen to shut me up out of that. So I just had to come around the other side. That's Harmony01 Nation. Cindy Harmony Nation.
Awesome.
But look me up and take a look at some of my stuff, and you'll either be impressed or offended, one of the two.
We're really glad to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. And joining us again is a Shitlords of the Apocalypse regular, my brother from down under, Mr. Ash Keeping.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Glad I could make it this week. I'm sorry I missed out on last week, but real life got in the way, as in the job I do to pay my rent. Yeah, great to be back. We haven't done regular stuff like this for a while, so this is really good to get back into the saddle. Really enjoy it all. Yes, so yeah, I've been hanging around this James fella since some of the early pages, moving up until Swagoo, Stop Whining and Grow Up, things like that. I currently co-admin a rather large page now. I take a bit of a back seat to it though, because I let the younger troops do it all. It's predominantly, well, originally it was like an anti-SJW page and stuff, but we've kind of broadened our horizons on all this sort of thing because, like most titles nowadays, they get pretty cliched real fast. But we do focus on quite a large variety of things. It's not just the typical anti-SJW blah 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 stuff. It's all keeping an eye on what third and even fourth wave feminists is getting up to nowadays, the whole Marxist socialist kind of rhetoric, everything like that. So we try and do a little bit of watchdogging and all that sort of thing. And when I'm not doing that, I actually, and this has been my gripe against social justice warriors from day one, I actually work in an industry to do with social justice, real social justice. My job is to work with psychotic ex-cons. I'm a mental health support worker. So,
I'm so glad you
to be back. And especially to do with this topic at the moment, a fair bit of my work involves me having to work with an organisation called ANCOR, which is basically our National Sex Offender Registry for child sex criminals. And yeah, have a pretty fair idea of how a lot of them operate and what they do. So yeah, anything I can add, I'll try and put it in as it comes up.
Awesome, brother. I'm so glad you could join us tonight. I know this is a topic very, very important to you as well, and your input is going to be very valuable. So, awesome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. Well, anyone have anything they want to talk about before we go ahead and start the movie? Any comments, concerns, any housekeeping or whatever? We did mention that we wanted to talk about the comments a little bit on the last one.
Yeah.
You want to do that real quick before we start the
Yeah,
movie?
just a few. Some of the ones who have a problem with some of it.
Fuck 'em.
That's what I said. That's what I said on my comments back to it. I couldn't post.
Well, I know Mazzy had a particular comment that got under her skin. Did you want to talk about that a little bit? Or maybe not under your skin, but something that you noticed in particular.
Oh yeah. So, okay, you know how people, they always, they waste their time bashing something. Okay. Like, when they see something that bothers them, and they just talking shit. Like, for instance, she commented on the news.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
All you do is pause. Okay. So, there was this random woman, she commented on the video
Sorry,
saying
Nazzy,
that.
we didn't hear you. You're breaking up.
Yeah, your signal's breaking up really bad.
You missed out on all that great.
But let me check the internet connection.
You might, if you turn off your camera, it'll save bandwidth a little bit. Not that we don't love seeing your face, but we can hear you better probably.
Yeah, let me check. Okay, can you hear? Testing, testing.
Yep, sounds much better already.
Meow, meow, meow.
Okay, go ahead and repeat everything you just said.
Okay, there was this comment on that video by some random woman. Okay, usually I don't rage when it comes to commenting back on someone's comment. Like, this comment was like, because I don't know if you watched the first part of the documentary. We were talking about the documentary about how these children are being used by these pedophiles. And so in the comment I wrote, if you didn't like the video, why are you wasting your time watching this and commenting shit? It's like that's the point of the hangout. You discuss a certain topic or a certain video we're watching, or we're just commentating.
Yeah, and it's that was kind of my thing too. It's like we're labeled as commentary in the video
Said
chat.
it was a waste of time stopping and starting the video.
Right.
What was the point?
And that's fine. People are going to say what they wanted to say. Like I don't mind that. But here's the comment in question. I replied back. I'm like, hey, because I get it. YouTube comment sections are going to be people just with no filter and just say whatever they want. I do it all the time. If you look at my YouTube comment history, it's really embarrassing. It's super embarrassing because I just say whatever. So I get it. Like, I'm not trying to call this woman out too hard, and I don't think it's fair for us to either. However, it does speak to what people are interested in, right? Like they're not really interested in fixing the problem. They just kind of want to complain about it. So that's kind of what this illustrated to me.
And I have to say, Mazzy, I'm with you that, how is it that you tune into someone else's shit and then make it all about you? Only a liberal can go, I don't like this, and fuck you.
Why watching it in the first place, and why comment in the first place?
Well, and that's
It's because we want to discuss it. We want to discuss it. That is the point of us doing it.
Well, that's what gets me is the cost-benefit ratio, right? Like, it takes less time to say, oh, there's the original video. Boom, I'm going to click on that and watch it right now. As opposed to, taking the time to be like, hey, you guys suck dick and you're gay.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly like
You know,
you said too. They offer no. They're like, this is wrong. This is bad. I don't like this. But they never offer like, you could do this, or it could be. Well, I'd like to personally.
That's not
Okay,
constructive
I'll join
criticism.
in next time, and I'll voice my own opinion. No, they don't do that.
people are funny, and
That's
I don't mind people bitching and complaining. I really don't. It doesn't bother me. However, I don't mind laughing at you either when you're stupid. I've been laughed at when I'm stupid. That's just how the merry-go-round works. Overall, though, I think most of the comments were pretty positive. People understand. There were some legitimate comments about the audio quality, and I'll be honest, talking with some of you live, yeah. But what can you do? It's the internet. You know, you're doing your best. Can't really blame you. We're not Hollywood producers, so you know, as much as it's frustrating for anyone out there listening, it's just as frustrating for us. But we're working through it. Not you know, we're not a screaming car. Yeah.
We're all around the world. We're not like sitting next to each other in the same room. We're all over the world.
Yeah, thanks to technology, we can make it happen. It's not perfect, but this ain't CNN, bitches. Move on. You know, you don't like it, change the channel. And that's
Sure.
it. It's the authenticity. I mean, we offer authenticity where it's real. If it wasn't real, we'd have perfect sound, perfect hair.
Yeah, it would be a collider video. You know, and that's, you know, we'll try and make improvements as we go along, and I want the user experience to be pleasant, and I like people to share their feedback.
But if they
That's not
comment,
really
we
the
get
issue. I just think it's funny. You know, we're doing our best though. I want to address it and just say, hey,
But I would like to say that.
we get it. You know, if anyone complains about the audio quality, it just means that they care about what we're saying and they're just frustrated that they can't hear us. You know, it's a compliment, really. So
I'd like to say thank you for all the interest in this. It's really good. We've never had podcasts with this much interest before. Do you know what I mean? This is the biggest one we've had, definitely.
That's it. Even negative comments or comments.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's like, I can't believe how many people have shared this and seen this. So I'd like to thank people for that.
Absolutely. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the movie. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's get back to the main event here. So where we last left our villains, they were talking about these sleepover parties that would happen in Hollywood, where they would isolate the kids and not allow the parents to attend. And we kind of got off on a tangent and talked for like 45 minutes after that in the last episode. But this is where we left off in the last episode. So let's go ahead and just continue from here. Stepping over this.
We worry about stranger danger. Don't let your child be alone with a stranger. And everyone really tends to think that a pedophile is kind of a rapist. But really, that's not how they work. They employ a process called grooming that is a slow, meticulous way of convincing a child and their parents to trust them.
Look how happy that mom is. She just thinks her son is on the fast track to fame and fortune.
He is. That's the point.
Oh, so tragic.
And that's the thing is, these are good parents, and they just wanted to get them into the business. That's just it, isn't what they've been talking about? Is there's no real protection for these kids, and it's the accessibility that we're handing over to these pedophiles unknowingly, unwittingly, and they took advantage of a situation. Even the best of parents had good intent, or just wanted to get into, and they really played that. So it's never the victim's fault. It's certainly the predator's fault, and even the parents are feeling bad. But that needs to change. We need not to, oh, well, if you want your kid to be in the commercial, you better let them spend the night with me. And they're getting away with it.
Yep.
Is the problem.
Well, and
that's why they're over.
One of my favorite YouTubers, named Alachia Queen, who normally is a movie reviewer, but she recently did a video about how we deal with authority in America and how we respond to it in relation to the Harvey Weinstein controversy. And it absolutely applies to everything else. And when it comes to the subject of grooming, I think how we're raised in, particularly, like, I'm not saying all religions are like this, but some religious environments are very authoritarian, and they could teach you to accept sickness. And therefore, when you go to a Hollywood environment, for example, you someone in authority wants to have sleepovers with your kid, you're going to say, okay, because you've been trained already. Now, it doesn't have to be religious. It could also be any community figure. It could be a judge. It could be anyone that's like, oh, hey, I have all this money. I'm going to build this playground for the kids. Come on over and we'll have a big sleepover. And you know, like shit like that happens. It doesn't have to be religious. I just use that as a convenient example.
Exactly. What you have to realize is that these pedophiles are good at it. And they will shame you as a parent when you're going, whoa, I don't know about that. And they'll be like, well, what are you trying to say about me? Or don't, you know, I mean, imagine Michael Jackson saying, I want your kids to come over and sleep in my bed. That's a hard to say no, but that's weird. It's just weird.
I would say no straight away.
That guy's weird. I don't care if it's Michael Jackson. That dude is weird. He's not getting his, you know.
I get it. It is weird. I don't think Michael Jackson ever hurt kids, though. I think he did put himself in some really dumb positions, though.
Yeah. Whether or not he's guilty or innocent, it doesn't matter. That dude is weird. I don't want my kid around him. And if my kid is around him, I want to be there and supervise in the broad daylight, not over. I wouldn't let him go with any man like that. But, you know, and probably my kids would not be famous because I'd be like, we're out of here. Fuck you. I don't care. No, you're not getting your hands on my kid for him to be famous. My kid don't need to be famous. Have a nice day. Have a nice life. And that's what it comes to. And it's really easy to get enticed by all that. You come all the way. A lot of people move out there. And then what? Where are they going to go? They're going to go back. So they really know how to work that power. You can't blame yourself. You can't, as a parent, because these people, they're good at it. They're damn good at it. They've been doing it for a long time and getting away with it.
All right, let's get, unless anyone has anything else they want to say.
Situations, the ideal layer is their environment. They are creating a reality for themselves that accommodates their patterns.
Predator is looking at this as a way to work their way into your life, make a personal relationship with children, and to be there to bond with them.
I'm going to be right back. I got to mix it up.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, of course they want to establish a relationship and a bond with the kid, right? I mean, that's part of the turn on, I would imagine. It's not just slam and bang. It's the whole sick relationship of leading them down the primrose path and feeling like some kind of mentor. Like, I don't think any pedophile really thinks that they're hurting a kid. I think they think they're helping them. And what do you, I don't know, Ashley, what do you think about that?
I don't completely agree with that.
The whole process of grooming is fixed on building a rapport in what would otherwise be seen as a highly inappropriate, age-inappropriate relationship. And it's not just about building a rapport with the young person, it's building a rapport in such a way that you have to convince those people around the young person that, oh, look, this is quite acceptable. And in fact, it's part of the process that's going to help us work everything out, okay? The thing about high-functioning pedos is that they are extremely good at what they do because it's their primary focus. Very much the same way that very hardcore drug users are very much chameleons when it comes to getting what they want. And if you're looking at the more elevated cases where you have a celebrity who's surrounded by agents and managers and PR people and everything else like this, they already have a social status advantage that says, oh, because of my fame, I'm obviously a good person. And as a result, I'm doing you a favor. Okay, I'm giving you opportunities. I'm giving you all this sort of stuff. And what people then do is go like, oh, wow, that's really exciting, while forgetting the fundamental part about human nature, which is every social interaction is a transaction. If they're offering something to you, they're looking for something in return. Okay, and whether it's some sort of exploitation or anything else like that. But the bottom line comes back down to, like Harmony was saying, is that these situations seem to be somehow mitigated or accepted because of the differential in high social status, as opposed to your neighbor comes up to you and says, oh, I reckon your kid would be great to do mow my lawns and do this sort of stuff and everything like that. But to find out if they're the right person, can they stay over at my place tonight? It's like, no, that's creepy, weird, and absolutely horrible. There's no way we'd ever allow that to happen. But people can get blinded by this, the cult of celebrity, all this other sort of stuff that goes along with it. And this is where it all gets very, very fuddled, because you're not just promising a dream to a kid, you're promising a dream to the family.
Yes.
And so the parents are caught in this trap of like, well, we don't want to risk this wonderful potential and opportunity for the kid, and obviously this guy is really high profile, and this is what gets me the most, because this happens in Australia a lot as well, and we have just as many high profile celebrity type people who turn out to be pedophiles and end up doing a lot of bad prison time 20 years afterwards for it. Where at the time it's the case, because they're cult of celebrity, they must somehow be some sort of superior citizen. And with that goes like the trustworthiness or the respect or anything else like that. And people always have trouble differentiating between the art of the person and the actual person. Okay. The art of the person might be fantastic. The actual person themselves could be a serial killer. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Ash. Hold that thought.
That's all right.
I don't want to ruin your train of thought, but I just want to expound on a point you just made that I think was really good, and I don't want to blow past it. It's when people connect with someone that is in the public eye, a celebrity or whatever, they see them enough that they start to feel like they know that person. They feel like they have a personal connection with that person. This is why you get, and people that take it to the extreme become stalkers and whatnot. But otherwise, like, you see a personality online, you feel like you know them and you trust them and they're a part of your life because you spent so many hours watching them and almost interacting with them. Even though it's been a one-way street, in your head you're still responding back to them as part of the discourse of entertainment.
And you forget the most powerful thing. The most powerful thing here, I would have to say, just to interject real quickly, sorry, Ash, and what you were saying,
that's right.
Peer pressure. It's that powerful. They have other kids looking at you going, why? Why don't you want to stay with this creepy guy overnight? I do. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
That's what is used, the politicians use it. It's that powerful. So not only do they want the fame, and they've come all this way to stop midway, they've got so much invested. And again, the peer pressure of, explain and tell the world why you don't want that to happen, and you're, that'll do it too. And
absolutely. To the point where if you were to refuse that person, suddenly you're the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're insulting a big famous person, and that sort of thing. And so you have this societal pressure that's dead against you.
Yeah. You can have your values challenged in a second once the authoritarian matrix is entered into it. As soon as you feel like someone is above you, all of your morals are called into question. Like, well, who am I to say this person can't rape my daughter? They're a billionaire. Who am I? I work at the Denny's for $7.50 an hour for tips. Like, how am I going to stand up to this person? It's a perfectly natural reaction. It's detestable, but it's understandable.
Here's the guy that the whole neighborhood loves. How can you say he's a bad guy? But here's the guy now who Michael Jackson or a producer, a rich person. So how could you possibly go, against that person? That's a magnitude of authoritarianism.
Yeah.
That's what politicians and that sort get away with it too. It's power, but it's also how could you possibly turn down? It's what men go through with a beautiful woman who comes on to them that they don't really, men,
I don't know anything about that.
I was sexually harassed, but men get that too. It's just that the amount of pressure and peer pressure, and authoritarian and position and power, all that.
Yep.
For a kid, to handle, and parents who
Too much pressure for a kid to handle. And any parent needs to be ultra vigilant for their kids' interests. Like that, I pointed out that mom who was like super happy taking her kids' pictures. Like that mom would have been perfectly happy to have that kid stay at any pedophile's home. She was completely.
You convince
euphoric.
yourself.
Yeah.
You have to sleep at night.
Yeah.
It's not their fault, and that's the thing. I'm sure they feel horribly guilt-ridden. I would.
Oh, yeah.
It's not their fault. You just forget about all of these little things that led up to that point, and how could I possibly have been so dumb? And that, and a kid, and that's
getting caught up in the moment is how con artists succeed. They count on that.
They've got too much going for them, too much power. Again, they've got the whole industry, and no one to say no. Sometimes that's all it takes. There's no stop sign. There's nothing. There's no. There was one that still has. There's pedophiles, sex offenders who can still work in Hollywood, but you can't go work on with kids otherwise.
Yeah, Roman Polanski would have a really hard time getting a job at any retail shop at all. But for some reason, he can make multi-million-dollar movies. Weird. All right, let's continue with the movie unless anyone else wants to pipe up. Anything? No? All right, let's move on.
So,
typically, a predator is grooming many children at the same time, and there are different levels of the grooming process. Because a predator knows, like any tiger in the jungle, they're not going to catch every rabbit. You just need to catch the weak ones.
That's so true, right? That's exactly right. You surround yourself.
Yikes.
yeah.
It's fucking sick.
We went back and began to try to do some sort of reporting to try to determine how widespread this problem is.
Marty was very well known in the community. He had friends who were buying and selling pictures on eBay.
How normal he looked.
We started to realize that some of the sellers were convicted sex offenders. We knew that he was somehow involved with another convicted sex offender, Bob Villard, who was selling pictures on eBay. Bob Villard was a very prominent publicist in the 1980s in Hollywood.
You Bob Villard casually as someone who was in the industry and he did was sometimes for clients that I had.
Big names like Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio. He was very well known as a publicist. Bob Villard was also a photographer.
So I meet Bob Villard as a publicist who can, the photographer bring exposure and whatnot. I do Michael Hara.
He was one of our biggest eBay sellers. It became obvious to us that Bob Villard was selling candid photos that he had taken.
You're there for a weekend and it feels just comfortable enough to try to touch you when you drink a few beers, or it's always good to get that few beers. Guys, touch me.
Okay. I want to talk about this for a second.
Wow.
When my nephews were 16, I gave them a beer. Like, hey, I'm just the cool uncle. Like, you want to know what it's like? Cool. But that was just kind of like me being their uncle that's letting them break the rules, and feel edgy and whatever. There was no malicious intent. This is an association with something that is, pretty innocent when it comes right down to it, with something that is insidious. Like, I'm going to feed you something that is going to lower your defenses so I can take advantage of you, as opposed to just, hey, you want to see what this taboo shit is all about? I'll show you. It's not really that great, but at least you can see what it is, and I'll make sure that you're safe. Big difference. When you have kids over your home and you're telling them to take their shirt off and you're feeding them beer,
You know what the difference is?
There's no silver lining to that. There's no right way to say, oh no, you just misunderstood. It's not what it looks like. Like, no, how could it not be what it looks like? Could it look like anything? Could it be anything else other than what it looks like?
There's one significant difference. The difference is empathy. See, you think giving, your 16-year-olds, some beer, that's cool. And they think you're cool. That's how you would want it. If you were 16, totally. The pedophile does not put themselves in the position of their victim. They like the suffering that the victim is doing. They don't see them as a person. They're thinking about their own personal. That would be like if you gave the kids a beer and then you had your way with them or something.
Right.
That's self-gratification. That's not empathy, because you don't, if you were looking at the child as when you were a child, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be able to do it to them. That's the difference. They have no empathy. They have no ability to put themselves in the situation of the victims. That's how much they like the power. That's the difference.
Well, and this is why young people absolutely need the protection of smarter people that are looking out for their best interests, whether that's a parent or a big brother or whatever. Like kids are dumb and they're going to fall for some really stupid shit, you know, and they have to be protected. That's why the family is so important, because who's going to protect anyone better than the family? The state certainly isn't. And random strangers certainly.
In many cases, these parents are involved. It's not like they're not, but they're talking about having some sort of commission to protect them, and there should be like psychologists on set and that sort of thing to see the signs. I mean, that's a lot of it. Everybody has that glitz and glamour in their eyes, and they're just not.
Right. Well, and here's the thing: you get some Hollywood's child psychologists to be mandatory on set. Every single one of them is going to be a pedophile. I guarantee it. Unless you completely uproot the system as it exists right now.
You'd have to have somebody that you can.
Yeah,
trust.
it would be a Band-Aid that is infected with AIDS. Like, you don't want to put it on your wound. It's going to make it worse.
Well, they definitely need eyes on them. They've just not had.
Well, what needs to happen, it all needs to be uprooted and it all needs to be exposed. One of the things that really disturbs me the most about this movie, above all else, is that no names are mentioned. Why? Why is that happening? Why are names not being mentioned? That is the big question. Like what? Well, that's the frustrating thing.
That's how they get away with it, and they're able to just continue on, you know?
Name the fucking names. The public will support you. The police will support you. Like, I don't care how corrupt any police chief is, some other law enforcement office will take up the cause, because there are good people in the world.
Well, you may have to go after the enablers, the Me Too's.
Oh, fuck. I unloaded about that last week. Don't get me started again about that.
Exactly. And that's the first thing I'm saying. So instead of going and giving the head to, no, fuck that. You know, because at the point that you had this happen to you, it continued on. You could have shined enough of a light to at least make it difficult for the pedophile. You know.
Yeah, you're not just an enabler. In the case of Harvey Weinstein victims, they become advertisers for their victims.
Part of that. That's what we need to, if we have to, and it's horrible to go after a victim like that, but they get no sympathy, and they should maybe face criminal charges. That's the only way they're gonna be like, well, this happened to me, I want to keep it a secret, but wait a minute, I might go to jail, or I might be in trouble. You know, they'll save their own ass. These Hollywood people have nothing but vanity about them. They're gonna save their own ass. If it's you or me, they're going to throw the pedophile under.
Ash, I'm curious. In your professional experience, have you ever experienced an institutional issue, however small?
Oh my God. I mean, not directly, because the organisations I work for, the amount of to do my line of work for a start anyway, you are tested left, right, and centre. You have to go through multiple tests, all this sort of thing, and a whole lot of ethical stuff. And the sad thing is that, okay, we went through all that sort of stuff, but very recently we had to have a royal commission into the state-run stuff, okay? So the state-run CPS people, the state-run people who do the foster care and all this sort of thing. Royal Commission came in, and it was well overdue. We'd been fighting for it for 15 years. And they finally came in, and they, as a result of the absolute widespread abuse that was being put across to state-run homes and all this sort of stuff, the massive degrees of abuse that were being held, and of course this was being protected systemically by the entire system that was running it, they had to dismantle the whole thing and build it up from scratch, because you had two problems. One is the actual offenders and those who were around them, part of the system, who were passively enabling it, right? And as a result, were criminally complicit in what was going on. with it all, because they would get to the point of like it, and it's one of those insidious things that builds up over the time. It's like, oh, this happening here's a bit dodgy. Oh yeah, that's not quite sure, but it's not really our position to look too further into it. And when of course it was.
What
and
the
then
fuck?
more and more
Really?
people
Wait, that's something they said?
Oh my God, you have no idea, man. Like over 2,000 people lost their jobs.
2,000?
The entire structure had to be dismantled and rebuilt from scratch when the Royal Commissioners came in, because it was so insidious and corrupt. And in my line of work back then as a youth worker, we would be dealing with the kids who would end up outside of these government homes because of the chronic abuse they were suffering. Okay? And so our organisations would have to be trying to put some of this shit back together and all this sort of thing. It is very, very well spread. Like, it is a conspiracy, all right? And I don't mean that in the whole tinfoil hat kind of stuff, whatever. We're talking about systemic conspiracy over a long amount of time. And so when you see that happen and you become aware of the cases of where it's not just the offenders, it's the people who are passively enabling all this because they're not whistleblowing, because they're not reporting, because they're not following anything else up like that. And the commission did the right thing. All these people were held equally liable as a result, because these kids were put into trusted, called professional adults, okay? But what it was a highly toxic, destructive culture that came through it all, and it really showed something that had been going, and it went for a lot longer than people had ever realized. But it took an independent body after we'd put all our complaints and all our concerns and everything else like that to absolutely basically take a flamethrower to the entire setup and wipe it out and come up with something completely new, because people fall into systemic corruption. We've seen it here, you see it over there with the whole Hollywood stuff and so on, where they have protections there. Of course, one of the worst instances was what happened in the northern parts of Britain a couple of years ago with all the grooming gangs and everything else like that, where police were turning a blind eye, social workers were turning a blind eye, all this sort of thing.
The most egregious example of is exactly what you're talking about.
Of course, exactly right. And this is now, and now that that's right. And so when you start looking at the Hollywood examples with all this sort of thing like that, my first reaction is, how deep and far does this culture go? Okay? Because it's very easy to come up with one example or two examples or anything like that. But for that to exist, there actually has to be an underlying culture that is kind of allowing it to happen. Okay?
Yep. This is why we need to encourage and support whistleblowers of all stripes. Like anyone that is willing to step out.
Exactly right.
Like that fucking model that took a wire and went into Harvey Weinstein's fucking suite.
Yeah.
Holy shit, she's a fucking hero. She is a fucking superhero. Can you imagine how fucking scary that was for her? Holy shit, dude. Like,
I don't know about this.
You didn't hear that? Have you heard the audio? You haven't heard that audio? No? Has anyone else heard the audio besides me on the stream?
I have.
Yeah, I heard it.
I haven't.
Okay, yeah. It's pretty pathetic. He's pretty much like, come on, sit down next to me. Just watch me jack off. No, you don't have to touch me. Just watch me. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, no, come on, just do it. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, no, come on, you just do it. Like, it just keeps going back and forth like that for a long time. It's the most pathetic fucking pussy begging I've ever heard of in my life. Like, seriously, like if you're a billionaire like Harvey Weinstein, you should not be begging that hard for pussy. I don't care how fucking fat and gross you are. That is
you tell by everything. It was a pattern. He'd been doing it for a long, and he even said, "I know, but I'm used to it," and that sort of thing. She got all of that out of him, and then he took it to NBC. Rowan, the son of Mia Farrow, took it to NBC, and NBC said, "Oh, we don't want it." That's another enabler. Yeah. They should be in just as much trouble because it finally broke wide open. Because that's an old story. That's an old tape. It's a few years old.
Yeah.
And NBC was just like, we don't want to touch it. I mean, and to their credit, Rachel Maddow, to her credit, she had him back on the show talking about it, tried to discredit it a little. There's no backing out of that. they're complicit as well. They wouldn't break the story because look what happened when they finally did. All these victims came forward. You saved some people from, some
Wait. Let's go back a second. Are you telling me Rachel Maddow broke the story?
No.
Okay, because I'd find that very hard to believe.
Ronan Farrow, son of Mia Farrow, if you remember her from Rosemary's Baby.
Sure, yeah. She was discredited and blacklisted, as I remember.
Right. And when her son, Ronan Farrow, had the tape. He had the whole story, and he went to NBC wanting to air it, and of course they wouldn't touch it. They were like, it's just not ready. It's just not. We took the exact same content to another, media outlet, and they did, and that's how the story broke right open. To Rachel Maddow's credit, she, after the fact, had him back on the show to address that NBC wouldn't touch it. And she did try a little bit well, they said it wasn't really ready. And he's like, no, it was ready because I took the same story elsewhere.
So this is likely back when she thought she could make it a women victimization angle.
Yeah. He tried, but to even have, him back on the show and to expose that and talk about it, they didn't want her to do that. So I have to give her that. She did try, but not too hard. We are all human beings, and I'm waiting for the human in CNN to come out.
It's not going to happen in the media. It's a fucking soulless conglomerate. One of the great things about the Trump phenomenon is people don't like Trump, but they love what he's doing. They love that he's shaking up the elite and pissing them off.
They're reaping the
I like it.
Hell yeah! I can't think of very many policies I agree with Trump on, but I don't think I'm in the minority when I say I think it's pretty awesome when he tells fucking spoiled asshole pieces of shit that they're not victims. Because we all feel the same way. You're not victims. You're the elite. Stop pretending.
You don't have the moral high ground. You can't judge other people. He was the reason for Hollywood and all of this. Again, all you needed was somebody to stand up and go, no, not me, you.
Trump is the definition of an anti-hero. You hate him, but you love what he does. You don't like the guy, but every time he smacks a fucking child molester in the face, you're cheering.
I like him. Sorry, I do like him.
I love him. I love President.
He's an anti-hero. Sorry, I get the appeal. I get it.
Well, you have to really get what he's doing. Like I said, you're shocked by it. Think about it. When he first came out with all of that, you're shocked by it, and you're like, oh my God. But then you're kind of seeing, well, he opened, maybe it was brass and maybe it wasn't, really. But he did it. Somebody did it. Finally did it. And they opened the door and destroyed political correctness. And again, we're reaping the benefits. That's it. It's like anybody who's even religious. I was atheist for a long time, partially because of the establishment churches. But, of course, coming back to that, because we all need to have faith and believe. I'm not going back to the establishment churches because they're just crazy people, some of the religious people. But the point is that even God, even if you believe in God, God is not here doing it all for you. He wasn't perfect. He leaves it up to you. He is like, here it is. I'm not saying Trump is God. In some ways, to me, I feel, But anyway. He's doing this, and then it's up to you. It's not, I'm going to do all this. We elected him. Now we're fixed. We can just sit back and, he does it all. No, he's saying, I did this for you. Now you all do what's right for you.
I don't disagree with you. I think to even simplify it more, Trump is just a reaction to people saying, fuck off. Stop telling us how to live our lives. Because we get preached to it in every aspect of our entertainment. They took over Star Wars, they took over Star Trek, they took over comic books, they took over the NFL, they took over fucking young adult novels. You can't go anywhere without getting preached to. And people realize it's bullshit. Real life is not a college campus, You can't indoctrinate us with your fucking identity politics because it doesn't make sense to the public. People are logical generally, and what they're experiencing is a backlash of fuck you, we're not getting it. But anyway, we're veering way off track here, folks. Let's get back to the movie. This is all great fodder for future podcasts, and I think we should all meet again for another podcast to discuss all these topics.
It's an open forum, whatever goes.
We always knew his photo style because he typically had the kids shirtless. Typically took an angle that was from the top down so that the children are looking up at the camera as they would be looking up at the predator in an abuse situation. bodyguard, he was a manager, he was a publicist. He was
God. Is anyone else fighting back nausea watching those pictures?
Yeah, it's disgusting. Disgusting.
Like I just, oh,
Like a catalogue.
I almost threw up in my mouth right now watching that. Like I'm not even trying to.
I've already seen the whole
That's
thing.
just.
And if it doesn't affect you, there's something, you're one of the pedophiles. So think of it that way. It's normal for her to be affected by it. It's heartbreaking.
Disturbing.
I mean, I had to stop it right away because I'm just like, dude, like,
I told you.
oh, I feel sick. I want to throw up.
Anybody who's not seen it all the way through should definitely see it. It's an important movie. Try to get through it. I just be ready, be prepared for all that it's going to stir up inside you. Because again, it should sicken you. It should disgust you.
Excuse me for a moment.
Right.
Mazzy, speak up.
Excuse me for a moment. I'm gonna throw up. Literally.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, like
Next time.
I just, I had a visceral reaction just then, and I don't. Yeah. Oh
There's
my
a little
God. Okay.
more serious part about it, and there's some casualties just to let you know. But
All right, let's continue.
yeah, we want to address.
I'm back.
How you feeling? Okay.
But
We're all here for each other. Don't worry, you're not alone.
I will never eat again.
There was a circle
My ass.
of older men. They all had either their own power or connections to great power. Themselves around this group of kids. That's why it's spread. Oh yeah. I was surrounded by them. They're everywhere like vultures.
For us, that really connected a lot of people. Connections between how the kids got hooked in. We started to see the patterns. One of Bob Villard's favorite subjects was rock.
Yeah. Okay. That picture right there reminds me of how Joe Biden touches a lot of young girls. Anyone else ever notice that?
Yeah.
Like, big feminist.
Oh, it's standing behind
Yeah,
them.
I saw
Oh, it's standing.
a collage of that sort of thing. Yeah.
I love it how I had a liberal tell me, "Oh, Joe Biden's going to run against Trump. He better watch out." Yeah, let him. I hope he does. We got some pictures for him, just like that.
I hope the lid gets blown open on him because there is clearly some dirty business he's involved in, and I hope people speak up because it's obvious as fuck. Like he's all over the place with it.
Watch InfoWars. They've got some good video of him.
Being sold by
Creepy.
Bob Villard's eBay.
The look on the kid's face.
Pictures was
Right.
young, appeared to be 13, 14. Brock Pierce, meanwhile, was connected to Mark Collins, Rector, and Chad Shackler. We saw that they owned a company together called Den. Again, on the surface, it seems kind of logical that a child actor would grow up and become, use their money that they had made as a child, perhaps, and open an internet company. When we started to realize what this really was.
Okay, sorry, I want to go back to that real quick.
Favorite subjects was Brock Pierce.
Sorry.
He was a common snapshot boy.
Just indulge me here for a sec. I want to show you something.
eBay seller. Brock in the pictures was young, appeared to be 13, 14. Brock Pierce, meanwhile, was connected.
Oh God. Okay, I went back way farther than I thought. Sorry, everyone. There is a point here, though.
Again, on the surface, it seems kind of logical that a child actor would grow up.
All right. Any still frame of this will do. What do you see in those eyes?
He looked traumatized.
But he lured in other young people. So he's even worse than probably what he endured. But he helped to bring in other kids too.
So he's battling with his own demons.
There's a lot of self-loathing right there, right?
Well, again, you're dealing with this is all this person knows. They don't know anything.
Yeah, no,
I was going to say that.
I'm not judging him at all. I have the utmost sympathy. Sorry, Ash, go ahead.
But part of when you're trapped in that cycle, and you're feeding a particularly perverse and evil machine, there is at a certain stage you take on a trapped recruiter kind of role.
Difference to it.
This is even common in street level pedophilia stuff when you're dealing with the freaks who are, the tamperers and stuff like that who operate at a street level, where they'll have their little coterie of young kids. Once kids get to a certain age, they want to still belong to that sort of thing because it's like the ultimate form of Stockholm syndrome, right? And so to prove their worth, they'll get other kids involved and coming in and stuff like this because they're brainwashed to do it and stuff. It's very hard for me to talk about. It's very hard for people to understand because it's very fucking insidious. It's quite evil and shit like that, but it's pretty well documented.
It's money and fame too. It's a way of life. What do I go back to? I can't just go work at McDonald's after this. So
of course not.
Yeah, you get into it so deep that there's just no turning back, and again, you don't know no matter how good or bad something is in your life, if that's all you've ever had. And this is what we're dealing with people who can't take the election loss, the liberals that can't. This is what they know. They didn't have a backup plan. They can't figure it out, and it's too bad because this poor kid may never. I mean, whatever.
I just want to say, I look at this kid's eyes, and I feel so fucking heartbroken. This kid has been forced to grow up so fast. He's seen some shit. You can see it. And
have to deal with not only his guilt, but again, enticing other people in it. That's just it may be something he never comes out of. I hope that
he was likely pimped out by his parents. He probably can't go to them for help. They're probably the catalyst of all this, right?
He's in too deep. It's like the bowl of fish hooks too. You grab one, that's all going to come, and it's horrible, and it's big, and it's huge. Ash, you know. So I hope he gets some professional help because it's just too much for one person to recognize.
And I think he has. I think that the story does in the video follow up with his treatment and how he's developed, and I think he's okay now. But fuck, man, seeing a kid in that much pain, and it's so obvious, right? He's not crying, he's not showing any outward signs, but you can tell. That sucks.
Again,
man.
empathy. You have empathy. You have what pedophiles and people like that will never have. You have. That's the difference.
Ugh. All right, let's push on. Ugh,
John.
I need my spinach.
We can do it. We are together. We are one supporter.
Yes.
And opened an internet. When we started to realize what this really was, it became a much bigger deal.
I was a New York City police detective with the College of Law School. Became an investment banker, and I backed into writing, hopefully very big stories over the years, but very fortunate to write stories. In the late 90s, I knew about the .com opening, and that kind of is a story that people was. One of them was people like
Okay, I just had a thought, and I'm sorry. Let me interrupt for just a second. I was just thinking about my feelings about that young boy that we were just talking about. And I'm like, how do you reach out and help someone like that? Because you don't give him a hug because that's not what he needs. You don't take him out for pizza because he's already been given all that. You don't play video games with him because his predators have already done that with him. You don't do any traditional bonding things that a kid would enjoy. That would be traditionally a good, healthy bonding experience between a male role model and a young kid, because those have already been ruined for him. What do you do? What do you do to help that kid? What do you do?
Well, I think, Ash can probably
take him to a strip club and just say, hey,
No, whatever it is that he's got going on, these are all his demons. No one can fix it but him. I mean, you can intervene, and even as a therapist or being in the business, you can give him the tools to fix him, to go within himself and work it out. He just has to learn to be, get out of it first of all, if he hasn't already.
That's not acceptable, though. He can't just learn to get out of it. That's not fair.
No, he has to get out of the situation and not keep doing it. But and then reconcile and be okay.
What could a possible male role model do for someone who's been hurt like that?
I didn't know.
Well, there's
Not wanting help
look,
either.
yeah, there's no easy other option to it and stuff like that. You're looking at years of having to break through to make. And look, when I was doing youth work on the street and stuff like this, it's a laborious fucking process because you're having to counter very, 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 very toxic role models with very, 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 very responsible role models. And to be quite honest, you kind of have to be a little bit tough about it, okay? Because the one thing that you have to present first is your own behavior, all right? And your own behavior is like, okay, I'm building a rapport with you, and I have to be able to do that in a way that in no way resembles the whole doing you favors, offering you things, blah, 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 or anything like that with it all. I remember one case, me and my team came across a kid late at night on the train station, and we were able to intercept the pedophile that was about to take him home because they were heading towards the train, and we operated as a team and we confronted the pedo, okay, because we're like, hey, who are you? What are you doing? Who's this kid? Blah, 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 and focused on that, okay? We had to show the kid, in front of the kid, that this guy was being challenged, all right? Basically, we're buying time till the cops got there and picked him up. And then with the kid, because the kids are so, what the pedos do is they teach the kids to absolutely not trust anyone who isn't them, okay? So you have to go through a very slow process of presenting yourself as, look, we're somebody else, we're doing a job, you have to present as completely professional, to the point where these kids are pretty edgy. And I remember this one case where I'm like 15 feet away from the kid, and I'm like, hey dude, how you doing? I'm Ash, youth worker, blah, 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 blah. I just need to show you my police credentials. Without getting anywhere near their personal space. I actually had to slide it across the floor so they could have a look at the card, okay, just to maintain the interest, because all I'm doing is I'm trying to maintain the interest and get them to connect with my team,
sure,
and say, yes, we are very different to the people you're dealing with, okay? We're not going to come up and give you a hug and tell you everything's okay. What we are going to do, though, is we are challenging your current dynamic in your situation. Now, it kind of comes across as a bit cold because we're not there to be warm and fuzzy, because that's what the enemy does. The enemy does warm and fuzzy all the fucking time, all right? What we do instead is we have to present to them that, oh, that person you're with, we're going to use everything in our power to reinforce to you that in wider society, they're wrong. And you'll see that by the way that we're acting, and also have the fact that the police are about to grab them. Okay?
Holy shit, that sounds brilliant. Now, I love that methodology. Wow. What a great answer to my question.
It is, yeah, and it is quite standoffish because you are having to start from that point of view. And that's only the beginning, and you're looking at a lot of work after that, because sooner or later you do want to get them into a position where they are going to be talking to professionals who can work with them, okay, around about all this sort of stuff, because you're undoing a lot of stuff about this, because the kids' emotions are very confused. All right. Sure. These aren't people who are being kidnapped and tortured. These are people who have been groomed. Okay. Right. So they're used to having a relationship which, no matter how twisted, they're getting something out of: money, video games, blah, 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 blah. Yes. And they're getting all that because they lack something else in their life that's giving it, like caring parents or anything like that. It is a very long process. It takes a lot of monitoring. And the sad thing too is they don't all make it either, you know. I've been to over 20 funerals with kids, man, because they couldn't make the adjustment and they ended up topping themselves. So there's a lot of gaps that you have to try and fill out with it all. But the best thing is 5-6 years down the track, you'll come across the kids who made it, who saw the difference, who actually got to the point and went, no, what happened was wrong. This is why I feel so fucked up emotionally all the time. And then they will reach out and get help. They'll get the CBT, they'll get some PTSD treatment and things like this, okay? But it has to be professionally structured every step of the way. Not because we don't care, but because we don't want to ever slip into using the same sort of false compassion fucking approaches that the freaks use, and doing it that way and
Ash,
pulling them through that way and so on.
Sounds so absolutely correct in terms of methodology. Like, I cannot tell you what a relief it is knowing that there are people like you out there helping kids. Like, thank you for what you do.
Couldn't do it. I could not do it. And I'll be honest, I could not do that job.
I have mental health in the family, so I was their psychologist growing up, and I would have been good at it, but I hated it. So I'm like, why would I want to do something I hate? I hated being their psychologist. My own mother's psychologist, who was
yeah, people are a fucking burden, right? Jesus Christ. It takes a special person to be able to take that responsibility on. Ash, do you ever feel like political correctness gets in your way, or are you allowed to just help kids
It constantly does, because the thing about political correctness is that it interferes with the fundamental truths that you have to sell, okay? When you start doing training in my line of work, they have the touchy-feely usual bullshit college stuff about, like, not being judgmental or whatever. Your job is to judge the fuck out of bad people, all right? You don't hesitate, okay? You will, if you go, oh, yeah, old creepy guy, young girl or young guy, whatever like that, I'm judging the hell out of that situation, okay? And furthermore, over time, you have to instill that judgmental attitude towards the young people so that they can make prejudicial decisions that will help them avoid further conflicts like that. All right?
Yes.
I mean, as horrible as it sounds, is that do not give people the benefit of the doubt. The moment you think something's sus, do whatever you have to do to get rid of them, abuse them, kick them in the balls, get the hell out of there, whatever, and so on, because that's so much more important than this whole, like, oh, you know, treat everybody equally, blah, 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 blah.
Australia is a
stuff like this.
Culture, so how are you allowed to do that?
A pretty what culture?
Australia is pretty PC in general. Like, so,
that's a landmine.
I think in general, from a citizen
culture limited to the protection of children. Like if you're helping a kid, then do all their social justice shit take a back seat. Like, how does that work over there? Because that doesn't work that way here.
It can't, because you're having to hit people with some pretty hard truths about stuff like that. You know, you have to be able to sell the message that there are bad people out there who do not have your best interests at heart, no matter what sort of honey they're selling. Yeah.
So has anybody ever pulled the race card to get out of a situation? Do you know what I mean? Like Rotherham, we were pulling the race card.
There's no black people in Australia. There's no black people in Australia. They just don't exist. Lots of Asians.
It's not so much it's not a race card, it's a culture card. All right. By far the highest incidences of child abuse will happen within certain cultures, and in one of our cultures that happens here is the Aboriginal community, okay? Where you've got nightmarish situations where mum and dad are pimping their 12-year-old daughters out or whatever to get money for drugs and shit like that.
Ugh.
And so on. So it's about breaking down some of those cultural norms of like, no, you're not untouchable because you're a minority. All right, we all know what's going on. But many of my allies are also Aboriginal, and they feel exactly how I do. And that's where it becomes powerful, because they go in, no good pulling a race card against them. They're the same fucking race. So, yeah, they'll go in and kick ass anyway and get it done like that, you know. But you have to do what you need to do at the time to minimize harm to the kids, because the welfare of the kid is paramount.
Yeah.
if you stick to your guns on that, there's very little that's going to come back on you. And this is despite, look, pedos can't handle anything worse than you cutting them off from their drug supply, which is kids. All right. We get death threats. We get threats for defamation, all this sort of bullshit. But we're covered for it. Our insurance covers it. Everything else covers it like that. And at the end of the day, no one's going to be supporting the
Ash,
the
sorry,
TAM.
I gotta call bullshit. According to Anita Sarkeesian, only women get death threats online. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, actually, that ties into, and again, we're still seeing a lot of this sort of an underhanded, but that's where, like we were talking about the Me Too thing, even the Harvey Weinstein thing, what we're, of course, hoping with this movie and others to bring out is they're trying to paint it as the white male harasses women thing. And then, they're trying to make it into that with Harvey Weinstein and keep it that.
Yep. They're really trying to contain it within their own narrative. They're really damage controlling this. And I'm pretty sure it's not working. Like, I don't think the public is buying it. I don't think they're thinking, oh, this is a white male problem. No, most white males aren't like Harvey Weinstein. Sorry, Gwyneth Paltrow. It's not playing with.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing going on in Hollywood, right? The evil producer.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they're so again, it's that drug supply. They don't want you cutting that off to the point where
what really bums me out is Meryl Streep, because as a study of the craft of acting, I've always respected the fuck out of Meryl Streep. I love her as a mentor in the craft of acting. Her work is amazing. Her as a person, God damn it, heartbreaking. Like, why are you such a fucking chill and a rape apologist? Like, if there's any definition of a rape apologist, it's fucking Meryl Streep. Like, that's her.
She wasn't the only one. She wasn't
Julia Roberts and anyone else that is like an endorsement for Harvey Weinstein. They're all rape apologists. All these fucking fake feminists. Now I know why they're pointing the fingers at me, because they're afraid of us finding out.
The most, it's like, everybody has skeletons, nobody's perfect and all of that, and they may even be trying to hide something or ashamed of their own participation or whatever. It's that they all think they can judge everybody else and point the finger and get the more, you don't have the moral high ground. And that's
what kills me, because I come from the school of thought of, like, there's an art to acting, there's an art to directing, and there's art to movie and storytelling, And I respect people that can do it really well. And then when there's like, especially a female that gets the spotlight, and they're actually good and not just propped up like Jennifer Lawrence because everyone needs to pretend that she's good or something. Like, and the same is true for Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, they're the exact same animal. They're both talentless, worthless pieces of shit. Like, none of them have a fucking inch of skill, but for some reason we're supposed to worship them. But that's not what I'm saying. There are other actors, there are other people that are like fucking brilliant and great, and they fucking get the shaft because they don't play the game. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, and that's why I hate celebrities so much. I don't know.
James Woods, who's my all-time favorite. James Woods, my all-time favorite.
James Woods is great.
Yeah, he's come out with his blacklisting for just being a conservative. He's not a pedophile, likely. So therefore can't exist in their world.
Well, I gotta say, I was never a big Family Guy fan, but I gotta throw props to Seth MacFarlane for throwing his hat in the anti-SJW camp and creating Orville and supporting James Woods and just being that, like, even though he's a liberal himself, which I'm fine with, he's like pretty far left in his ideals, but he's not a fucking SJW. He's not a fucking like communist.
Well, he was at one of the award shows years ago, and he was trying to out Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. And all the journalists laughed, and all the starlets were like, oh, like, God damn it, I feel so dirty right now. You gotta admire that.
If it came right down to it, if Harvey Weinstein said, give me a blowjob and you can have $100 million job, I'd probably give him a blowjob. So, who am I to judge?
Honest to God, if you did that to me, I would laugh. I'm like, fucking joking on you.
Watch him take a shower.
You'll have to pay me.
I do it. I'm not even gay. I don't like dick other than my own.
Well,
But for money, for that kind of money, yeah, sure, why not? One-time deal, in and out, done. You can wash your mouth out and then go fuck 20 strippers afterward with all the money you made from it to get this taste out of your mouth.
Well, have you noticed that most all the women that now say he abused them and that sort of, they all have awards.
Oh yeah,
they all have big roles.
Yeah.
They took that money, they did whatever they had to do, but that's the thing is they enabled. Let him.
I think this is just step 3
That's
in
right.
the dismantling of the establishment. Like Trump being elected was step 1, and this is step 3. I don't know what step 2 is, but there's something in there.
Again, they did their thing and they got their awards, and they let other women be, attacked, probably kids.
There's an old adage about a hero being more than the sum of their parts. Like Trump is not a hero at all, but what he represents, which is breaking up the establishment, is worth 10 times more than anything he brings to the table. And I think that's why people support him, because they don't like him, but they sure like the fact that everyone that they hate more than him is pissed off about him.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna they're gonna throw that mace at the glass jar and smash it.
Yeah, and I like
that's
that he tweets. I love that he does everything that they say, oh, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that. Because I hate that. I hate when people, no, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, I'll do the opposite. And he does too, and I love that.
Yeah, that's why I stopped being conservative. They were always telling me what I should and shouldn't do, but now the liberals are telling me what I should and shouldn't do. So fuck them. I'm not anything.
Liberals turn it on each other. They got too damn many rules. The liberals are worse than the conservatives. Used to be the other way around.
Well, I like to differentiate liberals versus the Marxist leftist identitarian SJW bullshit, but that's a whole other story.
I'd have to say, as a woman, feminists must die. They must, that whole genre, they need to kill it and reinvent it again, because I'm not sure it was ever, feminism was ever, and I always say the same thing that I would say to Bernie supporters, define socialism, and they can't. Feminism, well, define feminism.
I got no problem with that. If there's anything that's made women more unhappy, it's feminism. Feminism has ruined so many women's lives. Why would you want to go work in a fucking factory when you can hang out at home and raise kids? It's so stupid. Even as a kid, I thought about that. I'm like, what the fuck? Why do you want equality? Working sucks. Working sucks balls.
It's not like we don't have equality. We do. Everything they're fighting for, everything the liberals say, we don't have.
Yeah, they have it. They got it. Why do they want it?
Yeah.
Get a job. Get a real job, because everything you're fighting for and protesting for, we already got. And in fact, to see Berkeley, again, coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, to see Berkeley, the home of, fighting for free speech, and now they're fighting against it to shut it down. They don't know. They're so dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
What I love the most is when they all get together and they get so confused, they just start firing wildly into their own ranks and stuff, and they're just absolutely they have no idea who they're fighting at the end of the day.
But
so they turn on each other. Oh no!
I got to plug InfoWars again. Owen Schroyer was trying to debate with a couple of girls who just kept giving that. Don't you know? And then they cried. He made them cry. Oh, I loved it. Because they were just so much. And he just had an answer. He was trying to have a debate with them, and they were like, "Oh my God, don't you understand the pain that I'm? Oh my God, their head was going to explode." So he just ran off crying. It was hilarious. I watched it.
All right, let's get back on topic here, folks, and let's continue at 28.
Happened to go close my desk, and I read about it a little bit, and I thought it might be a good story.
In the 80s, it was MTV that captured the attention of young people all over the world. However, now that youngsters are turning to the internet, a company called Digital Entertainment Network they were the chance of becoming the next big thing. They created television-like programming exclusively for the web.
What? That's very Japanese.
Other internet companies that have come before it. It's a
Back in
fusion
dial-up
of the
days.
power of Madison Avenue with the technology of Silicon Valley and the entertainment of Hollywood.
See, with internet programming, primarily for young people, is a whole new concept.
The majority of young people today are not finding themselves reflecting the pollution. We're creating content that specifically targets your needs, your wants, your desires.
We're creating a new form of entertainment to serve.
All right. Real quick, is this person trustworthy? A.
Creepy.
Or is this person B, pedophile?
He looks like a pet. How could you look into that face and go, yeah, I totally trust him? Yeah,
I hate to judge a book by its cover, but I tend to think that inner ugliness does show externally after a certain amount of time. Like I have no science to back this up, but I believe this is true. I think as people grow older, their ugliness does show externally.
Well, they see no reason to hide it after a while. That's it too. That's some of it.
Yeah,
And
it's
look at
almost
Helen.
like they give in. It's like, oh, I can't be fucked hiding it anymore. And we have a saying here, and that is, as you choose a path and follow it through, you get the face you deserve. And you know, you see that with people's character that comes through. You know, it's sooner or later it comes to the fore, and it does represent itself externally.
It's definitely true. I see everything I've done in my life in my face when I look at myself honestly in the mirror, and I think most of us will see the same thing if we're ever to be objective about ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Hillary? I mean, sometimes I look at, oh.
I mean, it's not about like how attractive you are. It's just about what you've seen and what you've experienced, and you know, like does it show?
Yeah,
you know?
leaves a mark.
Yeah, you know, like it's probably something very ethereal that no one else could pick up on, but you know it. You know what you look like, and you know what you want to look like. And when we look in the mirror, if it doesn't match up, like it can be an existential experience.
To me, it can
Can you look at yourself in the mirror? Can you look at yourself?
Yeah.
I think it's important for everyone to do from time to time. Look at yourself and just be like, is the person I'm seeing someone I'm proud of? Is this the one that I envision in my own head for myself? You know, certainly age and care is going to make a difference, and you should take that into account. Not expect yourself to look like an 18-year-old all the time, but I think it's important to recognize your life choices by what you see in your own eyes.
Yeah, it can make a time like that. And sorry, guys, just excuse me for a second. Where am I? Blah, 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 blah.
Well, sure, man. Well, whatever you got to do.
Can't find my mouse. Yeah, I've got cool coming.
All right. Are we good to continue, or anyone want to say anything?
Well, I was saying that, you know, like as far as looking at yourself in the mirror, none of us are perfect, and we've all got, you know, and we make mistakes. And that's just it, is that you tried your best. That's what I tell my boys when they were growing up too. You can be anything you want to be. If you don't quite make it there, you tried. That's just it. But the whole, like I said, the arrogance is what I see in this man's face. Isn't just that he's not very attractive, because he's not, but it's also the smugness. I'm above it, and I totally am a pedophile. Deal with it.
Yeah, there's a bit of entitlement there. Yeah.
They get that over time because they're so emboldened by it, and they're, you know, because people like Meryl Streep enable them. Just saying. And Gwyneth Paltrow and all of those.
Yep, I agree. Anyone that ever spoke up for Harvey Weinstein is a fucking rape enabler or rape apologist. All the fucking douchebags like Steve Shives out there saying Sargon of Akkad is a rape apologist and all that shit. No, like Gwyneth Paltrow is a rape apologist. Like, sorry, like you got facts and it's all verifiable. It's right out there.
I think it's even worse. I think they should just keep their mouths shut, because it's even worse that they're saying it now and they didn't say it then, and they don't see that. That's what they need to see, is like, you're no victim. We don't have sympathy for you anymore. Had you said it at the time, or at least something at the time, but no, you got your award, you got your big movie and your millions, and you judged us. You judged us.
You sold out the next girl for money. That's what you did. You just made the next girl a victim because you enabled it, because you didn't blow the
We can't let them off the hook. We can't let them off the hook. They're the victim, but they victimized others. You know, I
think it's a damn shame that the whistleblower on Harvey Weinstein isn't a fucking national hero right now. Like, feminists should be rallying behind her right now and propping her up. But do we even know her name? Does anyone know her name?
No, she's actually well, she's not American. That's all I know.
No one knows her name.
But then again, you're also kind of like, imagine,
fucking disgraceful. Yeah. Like the feminists have not said a goddamn word in support of this woman.
She might not want to have a name. She might want to be anonymous.
Right. She may want her privacy. She did the right thing, unlike the other bitches. But she forward and she stopped it from happening. And at that point, you know, I would want my privacy. I wouldn't want to be famous for that.
No. Ash, do you have to leave?
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I've got to, like, due to the very unpredictable nature of my clients, it looks like I'm off to a parole hearing.
Cool,
so,
man. Well, real life happens.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really, really sorry, guys. I'm glad I could spend some time with you guys and get at least a few things said. It's a really important issue, but I'm sure we're going to do another one of these, right?
Absolutely, brother. We're probably going to get through another 10 minutes of the video, so there's going to be plenty more parts for you to join in.
Great, no worries. All right. All right, great to see you guys. Great to meet you. And yeah, hopefully I'm going to see you very soon, all right?
You too, man. Good to see you, man. Take care. And we'll see you again soon.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
You're right.
All right, well, it's just me and 3 chicks again. Let's do this. Let's move on.
Where's it's like the worst movie to watch.
This used to be a MGTOW site.
Yeah, you know, that's funny. That was the origination. Like, if you really go back to our old thing, like, it was a MGTOW site. But we have evolved because we realized MGTOW is bullshit.
These are all ex-MGTOWs.
Fuck MGTOW. We're not woman haters. I love bitches.
Somehow, on one of the early chat lines, which were a little more than hookup places, he came to us, Chad Chaplin.
Nah.
Hey, I'm on camera. Well, at the time, it was maybe a 15-year-old kid, and Collins Rector was much older than that. Mark Collins Rector used to be close to Chad Chaplin. And
that guy's face makes me vomit.
Eventually, Chad moves in with Mark Collins Rector.
What's the difference with the other guy's face and that you know, the older face?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Can you repeat that? I paused the video.
The difference between his face and then when they shot to the other guy who's, you know, talking to old guy. Back up a little bit. And,
yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Innocent.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the intentions just in the facial features. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a spiritual person, but I honestly do believe that the character does come out with age.
There's a lot of Satanism in.
You know what he's done.
Sorry, Don. What?
I do agree with you to an extent, but we know now what he's done. If we didn't know and we were just looking at his face, would we feel the same?
If we didn't know what he did, we would still say he looked creepy.
He looks weird. Yeah. It's like we don't know much about Michael Jackson, but it's just weird.
Mazzy, what do you
Yeah?
think? Does he look creepy objectively?
Huh?
Does this guy look creepy objectively?
Yeah.
Like, even if you didn't know.
I mean, if this guy approached you at the yogurt store and asked you out on a date, you'd be like, no. You probably have a rape basement. Not gonna go to your house.
Like, dude, you look like a pedophile.
I'd run away.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Spray.
He's got more makeup for me.
I feel like it's intangible though. Like you can't quantify it. Like I want to try and narrow it down to a physical quality, but I don't think it's fair because there are people with fair skin, there are people with big lips, there are people with awkward lips that are perfectly fine human beings that will never hurt a fly. But
it's just like Don
there's
said,
an
he's
overall
got
feel
lots
you
of
get.
makeup.
Yeah. Like I don't know. And that doesn't make him guilty. I just want to be clear. Like, I feel like human instincts exist for a reason. We are animals when it comes right down to it. Survival instinct is ingrained in us. We have feelings and they matter. As long as they're not shaded by, I don't know, outside influences.
We've all been wrong.
I mean, honestly, like, if I was to be intellectually honest, that guy could be totally innocent, and I could be defaming an innocent guy who's had his life ruined by false accusations. And I'd be a total shithead for encouraging that. Like, fuck. I would feel really bad if I was part of that. However...
Yeah, well, now we know what we know. It's hard to look at him without that, knowing that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I think it's important to always have that benefit of the doubt. Like, we always want to find a bad guy. We always want to find a victim, and it's important to stay objective. As much as I found that guy a creepo by the way he looked, that is not any way to judge anybody at all, especially when it comes to sexual crimes. Because as we all know, a lot of guys are accused unfairly and have spent many years in jail based on the same prejudices that I'm displaying tonight.
This is why feminism is ruining lives.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that sad that, feminists are going after totally innocent guys, and these guys just carry on with what they're doing, and they'll even...
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's
Until
ridiculous.
it happens to their son.
Yeah, well, even then, feminists, there's some feminists that are just...
Oh, yeah. That Judith Grossman, when it happened to her son, that was amazing. That case was absolutely incredible. But that's for another show.
Yeah. We got lots of shows. We'll have to do a weekly or every couple of days or something.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have to keep doing this. This is a lot of fun.
We love feminism.
We'd love for it to go away or to change. Be its original idea, because it's just not.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's like liberalism. It's not what they set it out to be or what it once was, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The ideology of it. We don't want to pick on the whole institution or the idea behind it, but they've twisted it into something so horrible.
I think liberalism still stands. It's just been appropriated. Hopefully we'll find a new term that actually encapsulates the merger of liberals and conservatives that hate authoritarian left. Because there's going to be a new paradigm. Like, it's not going to be Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative anymore. Like, it's going to be authoritarians versus people that want to be left the fuck alone. And the authoritarians are the SJWs, the super hard left Democrats, the people that supported Hillary, and then there's going to be the rest of us that are going to be like, leave us the fuck alone. Like, and I think the paradigm is going to shift because the Democratic Party is dead. It's, for all intents and purposes, dead. The only thing that the Republicans are suffering from is themselves, because they are dysfunctional because they've always been dysfunctional. They've never had a clear message. Yeah.
Think about if they turned around and got smart and said all the right things again or something. That'd be just scary.
Yeah. Right now, it's not going to happen though. Like what's going to happen is it's going to be the elite versus the rest of us. And what we're seeing is the extreme leftist SJW politics that has taken over all of our media that everyone is talking shit about, from Star Trek to the NFL. No one likes the new fucking bullshit they're throwing at us. And
Well, it's not new.
No one likes it. And they're being called racist for not liking shitty writing.
But it's riddled through the education system as well. It's riddled through it. All kids are getting it. Do you know what I mean? It's fuck the NFL and Star Trek for a second. It's riddled through the education system and the health service. Do you know what I mean? This is like, you know, our kids are bringing homework home, which I recognise the narrative straight away, and I'm like,
I hate to say it, but no, like the corruption in our education system has been swept under the rug because it doesn't affect the adults in their everyday life, because most adults have kids and they pawn them off to, you know, the state or caretakers or whatever. Like, they just want their kids to be raised by someone else while they live the American dream.
And then they wonder why the kids don't up.
But what we find out is happening is all these Generation Z is like totally anti-SJW. They fucking hate the stupidity.
That's going to be the best generation.
Because they're logical. They get it. They're like, no, 1 + 1 = 2, not 1 + 1 = A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, you're fucking insane. Like, and my parents are idiots. And I think the whole concept of my parents are idiots is what's going to save our society in the next generation.
Well, that's the millennial generation of being the parents.
Yeah.
Not being your parent. It's it's not education anymore. It's an indoctrination.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And we're trying to, that's what I'm saying. It's not new. None of this is new. We're just finally stepping back and going, whoa, wait a minute. No, we were never down with that. Now that we have the opportunity to step back and find other venues and see the truth. No, we're not. And they keep trying to go, no, you're locked into this. No, we're not. So it's a real battle that the SJWs wanting to tell you how to live your life. And like you said, the individualists and most of us, we just want to live our lives and be left alone. That's the difference. That's how you spot.
And you sound exactly like a liberal. Like, leave me alone. Let me live my fucking life. And this is why the entire dichotomy has shifted. Like, SJWs are the ultimate right-wing authoritarians. They want to tell you how to live your life, what you need to think about, every aspect of sexuality, right down from how your kid is raised to how you conduct yourself in the bedroom. And holy shit, is that not right-wing authoritarian conservative bullshit that we all fought against in the 80s and 90s? Like, get out of our fucking bedroom, government. But that's all the SJWs want.
Yeah, they don't have any education, because think about it. They're not liberals. Actually, that's what we should say. Think of the meaning of the word. It's like the word Nazi. Whenever they try to say you're a Nazi. Okay, what is Nazi?
They've appropriated language.
Nazi is the National Socialist Party. We're capitalists. So when they call, when they're like, you're a Nazi, punching up all of that stuff, they don't even know the meaning of the words they're saying, is the thing, is what I'm saying.
No, they really don't. And they don't understand the meaning of fascism. Like, even though the Nazi Party was fascist, objectively, people don't understand what fascism is. Fascism is smashing down your opponents and not letting them speak their mind. Like, what the fuck? Like, how can you be anti-fascist while you're smashing down opposition? Like,
they're the fascists.
Where's the virtue of that?
They're fighting fascism with fascism.
Well, they have this straw man that says, if you have anti-SJW beliefs, then you are for genocide of my people. Therefore, I am committing violence against you in the interest of self-defense. I've heard this argument so many times, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And thankfully, the public does not accept it. And this is why Trump is going to be elected again in 2020. Like, that's exactly why. Because it's not because people love Trump. It's because all these fucking SJWs can't.
I tell them that. I tell them that all the time. I say, thank you. Thank you for getting Trump elected again in 2020.
Yeah.
Lozzie, are you
Half
okay?
the time, they don't even know what protests there are. When they're at protests and there's somebody out there asking them why they're there, they can't even tell you. They don't even know the issues of why they're standing in the protest they're in. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what have you got to say about this whole situation? They'll bring up the issue and they'll go, oh, I thought it was about this. No, it's about this. And like, I've literally seen them say, well, I don't really know much about that. Well, you're actually protesting about it. You're protesting about it and you don't know fuck all about it.
And they're ready to be violent. The stupid and violent is not a good Stupid and violent is not a good mix. They're ready to fight to the death. They're ready to, assault somebody. They're ready to, do whatever.
But they're not interested in that. What they're interested in is righteous violence. Like, as long as they think they're on the right side of history, any violence they commit is completely justified. So why not do it? Of course. Like, do you hate Nazis? Do you hate people that support genocide? Sure, great. Don't we all? Can anyone argue with that position? No, you can't. But here's the trick. I can define my political opponents as Nazis randomly. They don't even have to identify with Nazis or have any close to Nazi ideals. But I call them a Nazi. Therefore, boom, I can punch them in the face and feel completely morally justified about it and pretend like I'm oppressed when I'm thrown in jail for speaking up for minorities and people of color. Like, this is the problem with SJWs. They don't understand how transparently dishonest their entire movement is. No one on their side gets it, but everyone out here gets it. And we're constantly telling them, dude, you're being racist. All you do is talk about how shitty white males are. And they're like, that's not racist. You can't be racist against white males. And 90% of the rest of the world is like, no, we know what racism means.
Yeah.
You're fucked up. Like, this is why Trump gets elected.
Dumb. Ted Nugent was on InfoWars again. I'm sorry, I love InfoWars, but he was on InfoWars again, and he said it's that protection of their ignorance. That's what gets me. They're ignorant. They don't know, or they're ignorant in just that they don't have all the facts, and they don't want to know. They want to protect that stupidity, that ignorance, and then do violence. That's what I don't get, because everybody can be informed. Because I'll throw the question out. Okay, Nazi. Well, what does Nazi mean? National Socialism. I'm pro-capitalist. Trump is pro-capitalism, and then they're confused, and then they usually go away. But it's the protection. It's the runaway screaming, like, oh, I don't want to know the truth. It's the protection.
Well, people don't understand the opposite of fascism is capitalism. It's the complete dichotomy. Like, if you're a pro-capitalist, then you are against fascism. Like, you cannot have one or the other. But for some reason, the vernacular in the SJW community is anyone that is against socialism is a fascist, which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, they don't make sense. But that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how they protect that ignorance. How they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know the facts, and how plain it is for them to see. They want to protect that and go with it, and the talking points, and no matter how much. So at some point, what we're seeing is, a lot of us who are trying to explain it to them, just kind of like, why am I bothering you? We're walking away because I have a life to lead. Get a life, you too. But they are getting the group is getting smaller, but they're also getting a little more violent.
Well, and again, that's why the tide is going to shift really hard. It's always gone that way. Wherever the extremists keep taking an inch and a mile, they keep alienating the middle ground. And people are generally liberal. People are generally pretty cool. They're like, I don't hate anyone. Like, you want to fuck someone of the same sex? Fine, I don't care. You want to have a faith in a pedophile god? Fine, like, I don't care, just don't go near me. Like, most people are generally pretty cool. What happens is the conflict comes is when the government or politicians start saying, no, it's not enough for you to accept them. You actually need to internalize them into your life and start actively converting people in your family to our ideals. Like, oh, you don't like Islam? You're not gay? Well, maybe your kids are gay. Maybe your kids are transgender. Can you pressure them into a point of hating their own interests to the point where they want to please you to wear a dress or whatever? Like, this is what is happening right now. And a lot of parents are falling prey to it, which is where this whole movement inspired by Trump, not a credit to Trump, but definitely a result of it. This counterculture is saying, you know what, you fucking elitist Hollywood faggots are not going to tell us how to live our lives. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you want to raise your son as a fucking freak wearing a dress, you go ahead and do it. And if my kid ever has gender dysphoria, I'm going to help them with it and give them treatment and give them the best possible care to make sure they make the best possible commitment for their life. But you don't get a say in that. You don't have any fucking say in that, celebrity. And any attempt to shame me, to push me in one direction or another, that's on you. And that's your problem. Like,
yeah, but they're changing the laws. They're bringing these things into schools, and there's even schools now in America, and it's starting in Australia, where they have agreed if they'll do it in secret, they will provide a way for the children to start hormone therapy without the consent of the parents.
You know what it comes down to is ugly people trying to climb their way into the social norm. They're tired of good-looking people having control, or rich people having control, and what they want is for the least qualified and the least attractive to have the most influence. And it's not going to fly. Like, it's flying a little bit. They're making small moves, but when it reaches the mainstream, no one's going to accept it because it's not natural. Like, we're attracted to things that are attractive. We're attracted to things that appeal to our better nature. We're only going to give so much attention to someone that tells us we're shitty for existing. It's only going to last so long.
Not only that, but looks aren't everything. You know, be a better person. How about, be somebody attractive on the inside. So if your, features are not perfect.
Have a better argument. Have a better argument. You don't have to shout louder. Have a fucking better argument.
Have the debate with me. Okay, or agree to disagree. They can't do that either. These are people with no self-esteem. They weren't taught in the education system doing that to them, so that all they have is virtue signaling. Mm-hmm. All they have is making you feel bad and lifting them up. That's their whole day. Everything is. So that's why they're putting you down, and that's the difference. From our point of view, that's all there is we have to just kind of look at it and go, well, that's all that you have, but I'm not falling for that, and it has nothing to do. And like you said, it's not about me. These are your problems. You need to work them out. I am not your psychologist. I'm not responsible for you. These are kids that came up who, were taught they don't have to be accountable. They don't have to have any self-esteem. Everybody gets a trophy and all of that. All they have is to point the finger at everybody else, and that's where they get it from. It's like a drug. And we just have to start sitting back and going, no, I'm not going to make myself feel bad to make you look good. You don't have the moral high ground. Perfect.
Yeah, but I would not have my son attend any class where they're teaching him about his male privilege. It would be absolute murder. I would rip the school apart. I would, because it's not true. It's not true. He's not going to be sitting there and being told he is privileged in that way, because he fucking isn't.
Yeah, I've had plenty of fights when my sons aren't little anymore, but I've gone round and round with teachers. And one of them, my son was deaf as a child, and I was telling the teacher that he's got a hearing problem. They're like, no, he's retarded. No, he's not. The kid is smart. I can't hear him. And they were like, no, we test him. He doesn't have a hearing problem. They're patting me on the head and telling me about my child. So I finally proved to them, no, he can't hear. He may hear some, but he does. He turned out he had a 30% hearing loss in these years. Wow. This is the one who is now a high-ranking officer in the military. I had to fight them. They wanted to say he's retarded. And as a kid, he just said, hey, in the special ed class, I just get to play all day. So he didn't care. And he couldn't hear. He couldn't hear what you were saying. Therefore, he couldn't talk. That was the big problem. He's speech impaired. He still talks to this day as if he was deaf, clinically deaf as a child. But think of if I hadn't had a fit about it, we wouldn't have had the problem. He can hear now. And, you know, they're not interested in addressing the issue. They're interested in checking boxes, getting the money, because if he's retarded, they'll get that budget and that sort of thing. The parent, just entrust your children to anybody. You can't trust anything to anyone. No one else is going to have your best interest or your child's best interest at heart like you will. And even if you have to send them to school, and I'm so glad I don't now because it's horrible, you have to stay involved and keep on top of them and fight them. You just, it's not easy, but you can't trust them. Like the pedophiles and all, you can't just figure, oh, well, I trust this person, so they're going to, no, that's not their child. Or it's not when someone comes at you with their shit. No, you don't know me. You don't know what is wrong in my life, but you can fix you. So why don't you go fix you and leave me the fuck alone? So, I mean, and that's just it. Again, if I hadn't fought for my child, it's California schools, they're the worst, back in the 80s. And if I hadn't gone to them and said, no, he is not retarded. He can't hear. If I hadn't fought them with that, think of where he'd be now. So.
It's bad, isn't it? It's bad. It's really bad. Yeah. They don't encourage kids anymore. They don't encourage kids they don't notice something like a gift and it's not noticed because there's no encouragement. It's just they just work to a mediocrity level, and that's fine these days apparently.
It's worse than that. It isn't just that's what you're thinking. Well, maybe they just got too many kids for class. They don't have the time. No, it's not that they're ignoring the issue. It's not that they don't care. They have an agenda. They want to indoctrinate the child, or they want to get more funding. They want to be the hero. They want a virtue signal.
They want the bonus.
Right. So you can't just think that, and as a teacher, you think, that's a teacher. They should know stuff, right? I got sent home from school as a kindergartner because I was correcting the teacher. Because they're idiots. Maybe time was we had good teachers, but they're just not well educated. It's the only job they could get. They don't care, and in a lot of cases they're just pushing their own agenda onto your children because they're not their children.
Not all of them. Some of them are great, obviously, but you know.
But you have to the benefit of the doubt, and then there's anticipating the worst and never totally trusting someone because of their position. They have to prove to me they're a good teacher. They need to show me that they're going to take care of my child. And when you show me you're not, have no interest in that, you're excused. You're done. And I'm as a parent, now it's my job. So, step aside. And you have to and a lot of parents don't. They just either give up, throw their hands in the air, or they listen to the teacher and all of that. This is my child. So, no. It just that's how it's also peer pressure. It's other people saying, why are you bothering the teacher, trying to shame you out of fighting, standing up for yourself or your kid. Fuck that. I don't care what you think of me. That's my child, or that's my life, or
yeah.
One of my earliest experiences was second grade. There was a teacher that was slapping kids around in the class. She was literally beating on the kids. Yeah. And I was telling the other kids in the playground, like, if we all stick together and we stand up, she's not going to get away with this. And everybody had a story. And they were like, no, just shut up. Just leave it alone. They were mad at me. And finally, I wouldn't do something she said. She was trying to drag me, and I'm holding onto the desk. She slapped me on the back so hard it left her handprint.
Wow.
Back when I got home. That teacher got dismissed. But I remember thinking that, even as a child, going, I know I'm right. I know what this teacher is doing is not okay. I'm trying to get the other kids to come forward so I'm not the only one saying something. And they're all turning on me. I learned that lesson early on. And you just have to, try to initiate the help. And try to reason with people. Try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But when they don't, you have to use your best judgment. And if you don't, it isn't you. It literally is. So stand up.
Knock their head clean off her shoulders.
Yeah, sometimes, not everybody is like me, where, like I said, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. If you are coming at me, or if it's, if you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care who you are. And especially when it comes to the kids. You don't mess with kids. So I would have no trouble if I'd have been in Hollywood, somebody would have, done something like that to me or did something like that with kids. I'd be like, singing it. Nobody would shut me up. So, but not everybody has that strength or that ability to forego fame or whatever it is. And it is, and actually I'm in a blue state now.
You're in California, right?
No, not anymore.
No. Oh.
Too crazy out there. I left California a long time ago, but now I live in such a Democrat-run state where I'm the minority, and I am actually unemployed now. See, this is the thing I don't understand about today's liberals. It isn't just the disagreements or the fact that they don't like you. It's the going after you. I've been in some contract jobs
Yeah,
where
they've got no conscience, have they? They don't care if they lose somebody their job. They'll go after someone's livelihood. They'll make sure you've got no way to support yourself. They'll have you fired and they'll brag about it.
And you've got the whole establishment.
I thought, here's the thing. I thought I would escape that moving from Washington State, which is complete liberal Democrat hellhole, to Texas, which is supposedly more conservative. But I went to Austin, which is a liberal Democrat hellhole, which is ridiculously, horribly, yeah. Oh my God, I cannot get away from it. I can't. Everywhere I go is a fucking SJW fucking cesspit that is completely
blue hair with the purple hair or something like that. Something.
Yeah, like. Anyway,
I lived in Austin for 10 years.
We should probably we're heading close to our 2-hour time limit. We should probably close this out pretty soon here and continue on perhaps in a couple days.
Jawara is online now asking me how long the show is.
Who is?
So I'll just tell him we're nearly wrapping it up.
Oh, does he want to join? I mean, we could probably hang out for a little longer if he wants to jump in.
Just ask him to join. Okay.
So much, so many things that we're our own therapy group.
To an extent, probably true.
It's better than we would get from the industry. No, but I lived in Texas I went from California to Texas to where I'm at now, which is up near DC.
Oh, okay. So you're in the DC area. Right.
Yeah, and quite literally, yeah, you just run out of a job, and I mean by these crazy sort of liberal, who again try to shut down your free speech first. I was threatened. You go and you complain, and they're the same way. They're the left. So
invite him, James.
You can go through the court system, same thing.
He needs the link, James.
Who does? All right, where do I send it?
He's in his inbox now.
Who?
He's in his messenger inbox.
I don't have any notifications.
Don, you could probably copy and paste yours to him. Your invite.
I don't even know who you're asking about.
Jawara.
Who?
Jawara.
Jawara? Oh my God.
Our friend.
Well, I feel like this is probably a good time to close out. Probably like Mazzy's ready to pass out, and
Sorry,
we lost Ash, and we got another 10 minutes into the video, so you know we can do another continuation as we move forward.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's gonna. Yeah, let's pace ourselves.
Yeah, you know, there's no reason to rush through this. We can make it work, and there's plenty of fine commentary that we've been doing. So, you know, people that complain, whatever, like the full movie's in the description. Like, just click on it if that's what you want to watch. Like, otherwise, hear people talk about it. Yeah, watch us.
I'd like to do a shout out. Do we want to schedule something and then do a shout out to people who might be watching or want to comment? Maybe they have questions for next time.
Sure. Yeah. Bring it all.
We invite questions and we'll read the questions online next time. Do we want to? Do we have any ideas to when?
Yeah. Whatever. We can do it whenever the rest of you can come hang out. So, I'm not on any particular schedule. So, whenever you, Don, and Mazzy and Harmony can show up, and Ash hopefully, and maybe we can get some of the other regulars to come back. But I don't really care. We'll figure it out.
Friday is good.
I am super flexible. That's what I'm trying to communicate here. Like,
sadly, like I said, I was run out of my job by a liberal. And,
great.
So I'm unemployed and available.
Cool. Well,
yeah,
we can do random streams about random topics too. So it doesn't have to be about this.
Are you on Facebook, Harmony?
Yeah, I am Cindy Harmony Nation. So Cindy space Harmony space Nation.
But stop promoting Facebook. Don't go there.
That's true. But I'm on Twitter. And minds.com is also very, very good. And besocial.net. Besocial.net is a good alternative. Gab.ai. That's good stuff. I even invested with them. There, you can talk freely. The alternate to Twitter, at @Harmony_Nation.
Nice. I can't get back into my Be Social account. I'm finding it hard to get back into it.
We'll try Gab AI as well. I have several. That's the thing, is I don't promote one or the other. And when one locks me down, I'm like a spider. I'm like spread out like spider web to, you know, and I that way they can't shut me down. So,
awesome.
But Gab AI is amazing. Gab.ai, I'll tell you. I highly recommend it. Andrew Torba. I'm actually in contact with him, and I know the owner of besocial.net as well. And
he's all nice, isn't he?
I'm not interested in anyone commenting or getting in touch with me, but if you really want to try, you'll find a way. But I don't want to hear back from anyone. Like, I know what it's going to be. I do.
Hit me with it. Leave with the comments below. Whatever. If you got a comment, fine. But if you got a real question, I'm happy to answer anything. Nothing is off limits.
Fair enough. In good time.
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
God, I gotta say, ladies, thank you so much for hanging out and exploring this commentary with me. I gotta say, it's a nice change for this channel to have such a variety of female opinions, because I think red pill channels a lot of times don't have that benefit. Even though we try to pretend that we're all the same, but it's nice to get that different experience, and I think. Having you guys here is just good for everyone in all honesty, and it's nice to have your perspectives here, and let's do it again sooner than later. I really enjoyed your company, and you know, even if we don't discuss this topic again, which we will do, we're going to do another part of this Hollywood pedophile series, but let's do other topics and do other live streams and see how far this can go.
If somebody wants to say whatever. And James, thank you. We appreciate it. Nice, handsome guys. Our men here. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Apparently, no one within 1,000 miles of me thinks I'm handsome, but I'm.
Oh, no.
James is a ladies' man.
You are, because that's what I'm saying is the establishment that so much of them getting along with each other. We've got to, men and women have to find our way back to each other, and this is a good way of doing it too. Good therapy.
I think that's fairly well said.
We're going to talk to each other.
All right, my friends. Well, let's go ahead and sign off for the evening. Thank you so much for a very informative conversation. I really enjoyed this talk. It's very nice to discuss this topic with such knowledgeable, intelligent people. And this is something I think that needs to stay on the top of the public consciousness. Anyone watching here, thank you for watching the show. And if you hated it, sorry, we did our best. So, love you. See you next time.
Love you.
Peace out.